So welcome back to another Harvester's Digest. I'm here today with Carrie Mowney and Jenny Rogers, and we're going to talk to you a little bit about what's going on in the Missouri crops around the St. Louis region over the last week. Carrie, we had a lot of hot weather over the last week. Can you just tell us what that does to a crop?
We did. So for the end of July 2022, our temperatures were just crazy hot the last week of July, and it has been hot and dry the entire month of July. I can't tell you when the last rain was prior to this big one that we got, but even into June, we had hot weather. So we're always worried what that does to the crop development and then also what it's going to do to the harvest. When it's very hot and very dry during the anthesis or that tasseling silking time, we always worry about aflatoxin. Around here, you can see some of the fields have very short corn that isn't going to make anything, and you have some taller stalks that, from what we hear, maybe people are going to cut for silage.
So Carrie, this week you went out to Regal Dairy Farm, correct? And you were able to talk to some local farmers about how the crop is looking in their area.
It was great. We were able to go out and talk with Jeffrey Regal, and it's wonderful for us because it gives that practical, real-world perspective on what the water and what the crop is actually doing and how that impacts their bottom line. Well, good afternoon, and today we are here with Jeffrey Regal. It is the last week of July, and we're in Washington, Missouri. And Jeffrey, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm Jeff Regal. I am one of the owners here at Regal Dairy. It got passed down from my grandpa back in '47. He got a dairy cow for his wedding present, and that started everything here. And he passed the farm down to his son, which is my father. And then I took it over from my dad here in the last 4 years, I guess. And here we are.
Jeffrey, it has been a unique year to this point, to say the least. What are your feelings about this year's corn crop? When did you get yours in?
The stuff we see here behind us, we put that in, I guess it was probably early May. And it's been struggling. We finally got some rain today. Hopefully we keep getting some more tonight.
The crop that you see here on a typical year, I shouldn't say that because there is no typical year, I guess, right?
No.
On a year where you really feel like you've had the moisture and things are rolling along well, what would this field look like? How tall would it be and what would you see?
It'd be about 12 foot tall. Right now it's probably between the 6 and 8 at the most. The yield on it, we would probably be getting about 22 ton an acre off of it whenever we're chopping it. If you're going to pick the corn off of it, you'd probably be getting about 150 to 200 bushel corn off of it on a typical year.
So we've got an example right here. So tell us what you see, Jeff, and what it should look like.
It's a little small.
For this time of year, yeah. So will that mature a little bit more before you cut the silage? Then you said in the next couple of weeks you'll cut most of this for silage?
We sure hope it puts something on it.
Okay, all right. And that directly leads to my next question is, you're obviously not going to have your protein source here that you would typically have had you had a typical year or a better year. Mm-hmm. So tell me what protein sources you're going to source and where you source them from.
We get a bunch of stuff local here. We have to drive up to Montgomery City to get some stuff. We go to Mexico, Missouri to get some stuff. It's soybean meal from up there, and we just have to start adding all that into the diet to make everything right for the dairy cow.
So, and obviously those protein sources that you have to outsource add to your cost of production, and I'm sure I know very little about a dairy cow except it's one of the most finely tuned animals on the face of the earth, so a little bit of a change in their diet has a direct effect maybe on the production?
You'll definitely see it in the bulk tank until they get used to the new diet that you make for them, that's for sure.
So one of the things that we always worry about at Trilogy is the temperature and the moisture conditions during that tasseling and silking time. That's a real critical time for corn. And what we've seen lately, the last week or so, is 102, 103, 104. At my house on Sunday was 106. And some of the crops look like that was a really susceptible time for them. Do you feel like that's what you've seen?
Oh yeah, they're definitely struggling. You see the corn starting to turn white. It's basically dying in front of your eyes.
And about the some of the fields I see where it looks like we're getting close to harvest as the brown is starting to come from the bottom up, like you see when the drying happens too, and that's way early. If you were going to combine this, about what date would you do that on a typical year?
Most time, probably end of September for us.
Okay, all right.
Even like this stuff here, probably be October, being put in a little bit later. Normally we try to get in early April is the goal, early to mid-April, and this stuff here would probably be more October.
One of the things that always just hurts my soul with anybody that is in the agriculture community and producing, and I hate to ask this question, but give me just a guess. How much do you think this is going to increase your production costs, this situation this year?
Too much.
Absolutely, that is the perfect answer, and you probably don't have any idea until you get there.
Don't really know till you get there. It's a gamble all the time.
Well, Carrie, that was really some great information that you got from Regal Dairy Farm. I can't imagine the kind of costs and thought process they have to go to this time of year.
You know, agriculture is just a game of chance every year, and they handle it so well. Especially this year, we've had this drought going on, and it's very defined in the 3 areas that we went to. They had so many different fields in not too far of an actual geographic location, but there was so much difference in the stocks that we saw.
Right.
So the first ones that we went into, these are not irrigated.
Right.
And they're so underdeveloped. So this, at this point, should be 12-foot tall corn.
Right.
You should have a fully developed ear on it, and at some point it would start going to a dry down.
Mm-hmm.
This kind of drying is what we would see as the harvest is winding down when the whole plant dries out, and through the whole field, everything was getting dry. So there was really no development here, and the ears that we did see, you can kind of see
Right.
through here, there's nothing there. That's not even an ear. So this particular field is all destined to be used for corn silage because
silage.
they have the dairy.
Right. So let's move on to a different field, right? Because all of this was in the same kind of geographical area, but just a couple different fields on the same farm, right?
Exactly.
So we actually got to a field where they did irrigate, and they are hoping that they do get something out of this other than just silage.
Right. He did say that what they would typically get out of this field is going to be maybe 25% of their total yield. And you'll notice here, again, this is not near 12 feet tall, and this is not developed as much as they would like it to. The ear's not as long, and so this is going to definitely impact what they have available to feed their herd over the next winter. There won't be as much corn. They're going to have to substitute different protein sources. And although some of it may be cut for silage, it's not near as much nutritional value. So this is going to hit their bottom line very hard.
Right, and Jeff was even talking about how the rain the next couple of days, he's really hoping that these ears start filling out, because if they don't fill out, he's got to find different protein sources for his cattle.
Exactly. He talked a little bit about buying local corn, but from what we've seen when we took our little corn tour, there's not a lot of fantastic fields around here. So good corn is going to be in kind of a hard supply to find for Jeff, real
Local. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
So let's look at the third field that we had here,
Okay.
because this is kind of in between the non-irrigated first, the irrigated second, but this was also not irrigated, has a little more height to it, but tell us what's so different about these stocks.
This part of this field was just really, really interesting. It was a sad thing, but there's not one stalk that we saw in this whole part of the field that had any ear development at all.
None.
So there's no ears on here. The leaves were turned. You can see it's definitely drought stressed.
Right.
And I'm not sure. I'm not very knowledgeable in that, but I don't even know what kind of silage this will make as a nutritional value for Jeff. So it should be interesting. And again, you see the beginnings of the harvest dry down, and
And
there's
nothing.
to
There's
harvest.
nothing there.
Right.
Well, this has been a great informational piece for me personally and everybody out there. It was great to talk to Jeff and his dairy farm, and we just hope the best for him, and we'll keep monitoring the mycotoxin outlook for this year's corn harvest.
Right. And with the drought, who knows exactly what will happen, but we certainly want to thank Regal Dairy Farms for letting us kind of drop in on their day and show us around.
Yeah, it was really amazing trip.
Yes.
Until next time.